guys, welcome back to my channel Dami Dimension. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a short, really cute designer pant that is very suitable for this current weather. So if you're new on my channel, consider subscribing because I share pattern drafting and sewing tutorials like this every single week. In order to draft this basic pant short, we are going to be needing a basic trouser pattern front and back right here. And we also need a band pattern. We also need a pocket and pocket facing pattern. All these patterns are the pattern that I already have a video on my channel. I'm going to be putting the link to that video at the end of this video and also in the description box, and it's also going to pop up somewhere at the top here. So make sure you check that out so you can know how we achieve this particular pattern. All right, so what we are going to do now is to start creating the pattern for our short. So we are starting with the front pattern, and just place it on the table like this and grab yourself another fresh pattern paper. So you are placing the new pattern paper on top of your front pattern, and we are going to simply trace it out. And as you can see here at the pocket opening, I'm having a curved shape, but this time around I don't want to have a curved shape. So I'm going to go ahead and give it the shape that I desire. Alright, so that's the pocket shape that I want. And once you're done tracing it out at this point, I'm going to take out. So now that I'm done tracing that out, this is what I have at this point. And as you can see, I stopped somewhere here. So then I'm going to determine the length, and I'm going to be taking the length from here. This one is seam allowance of 1/2 inch. So I'll take the length of the trouser from this line. And I want my length to be 13 inches. So I'll take 13 inches and mark. I'll also transfer 13 inches all across. I'm going to connect that point. This is how long I want my short to be. Now I'm going to add the hem allowance, and I'm going to be using 1.5 inch. And then I'll connect those points. And in order to finish up here, I'm going to be folding my paper on this line so that I can trace out these lines. And that's where I'm going to be recreating a line here, so by the time I fold my hem, I'm not going to fall short of fabric. So I'll trace out this end, and I'm also going to trace out this line. So now you can go ahead and cut out this pattern. Alright, so I'm going to set this aside and I'll be working on the back pattern. I'm placing down my back pattern, and I'm going to place a fresh pattern paper on top. Then I'm going to trace it out. Let me show you what I'm tracing out. So I'm going to be tracing out, the most important thing is this edge. So I'm tracing out this edge. I'm tracing out my dart. You can also note your seam allowance if you want. This blue line right here belongs to the front pattern, so you don't have to trace that out. And if you want, you can also trace out your crotch line, your tie line and everything, and you can also add your green line just for reference purpose. It's not so important. So now that I'm done tracing it out, I'll set this aside, and I'm going to go ahead and use my marker pen to bring the shape out clearly. And here is it once I was done bringing out the shape. Another important line that you have to trace out is this line right here, which is the waistline from the front pattern. This line right here. Alright, and that's the line I marked with a black marker so you can see, and that line is what is going to guide us to measure our length. You are not measuring your length, the length of your pant from here. You are measuring the length of your pant from here. So now I'm going to also transfer the length of my pant, that is 13 inches, from this black line downward. Then I can connect those points together. And oh, I forgot to trace this one out. All right, so now we also need to draft out our hemline, which is 1.5 inches as we use for the front. My paper is a little bit short, but that's fine. My paper is a little bit short here, but you can understand what I'm trying to do. This is my hemline that actually should continue to this point. I may add extra paper just to complete that later on. So now, just like I did for the front, I have to fold on this line so I can trace out this end right here. So that completes the hemline. All right, so again, I go ahead and cut out this pattern. All right, so another thing I'm going to be modifying here is my pocket. I'm not going to be touching the pocket facing. I'm going to be leaving it as it is. But I'm going to be modifying the pocket facing just because of the shape here. If you use the same shape as we have on the initial pattern, then you don't have to make any modification to it. But because I changed my shape, then I have to redraft that. So I grab another fresh pattern paper, and I'm going to place this pocket on top like so. Then I'm going to simply trace it out. Now that I'm done tracing it out, I have something that looks like this. So it's really close to the edge of my paper, but you get the gist. So what you're going to do is to grab your front pattern of your short. You're going to be aligning this edge to this edge and this edge to this edge like so. So once everything is nice and balanced, then you can go ahead and trace out this shape just like that, and then I can simply cut it out. Okay, so now we are going to be combining the old pocket facing and the new pocket to form our pocket for this short. So in order to draft the band, what you have to do is to fold in whatever width of band you want to use. You have to fold it in on your pattern. I want my band to be 1.25 inch, so I folded in 1.25 inch away from my pattern. So after folding in the width of your band, you are also going to grab your pocket facing and also fold in the width of that band as well. I already marked out the width of my band, which is 1.25 inch. All right, so I'm folding that in, and because this is my front pattern, I have to put this pocket facing to replace this pocket part that I cut off. Okay, so we are going to put this here, making sure that you match this end to this end and this curve to this curve right here. So just go ahead and attach both of them together. All right, so now your waistline is complete. So once that is done, you are also going to fold in your dart, pretending as if you've sewn in the dart. All right, so the next thing to do is to grab yourself a fresh pattern paper, and you are going to place this waistline now, and you are going to be tracing out that waistline. So once I was done tracing out my waistline, I have something that looks like this. If you want, you can go ahead and smoothen that out with your curved ruler. So the next thing to do now is to measure up your waistband, the width of your waistband. So like I said, I want my waistband to be 1.25 inch. So I'm going to take 1.25 inch up. Then I'm going to connect those points in order to recreate this line. So once that is done, go ahead and square up this end. So now this is the waistband for the front. So you have to add your seam allowance all around it. So once I was done adding my 1/2 inch seam allowance all around it, this is what I have, and now this is my front waistband. So I need to cut 2 of these for my main fabric, and also cut 2 of these for my facing. So moving to the back pattern, we are going to be doing the same thing. I already fold in my 1.25 inch for the band, so I'm also going to fold in my dart. So then I'm equally going to trace out this waistline. So once I'm done tracing it out, I'm going to offset this line up by 1 1/4 inch and connect those points. Also square up these ends. So and then I'm adding my seam allowance of 1/2 inch all the way around it. Now I'm done adding my seam allowance, but actually here on this side we are not supposed to have any seam allowance, so I'm just going to take that out. Since this is the back, we are not having any seam allowance, so this line is not here, so we are not having any seam allowance around here at all. All right, so the pattern stops here. Don't worry, by the time I cut it out, you see what I'm talking about. So, and the reason for that is because we are cutting this whole piece on fold, so here obviously it's not going to have any seam allowance. So then you are going to be cutting out one of these on fold for your main fabric and one of these on fold for your lining fabric. So make sure you write which one is the front and which one is the back, so you don't get confused, because they are quite similar but they are different. Right, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut out this pattern. Alright, so now I use the pattern to cut out my fabric, and as you can see, I folded 1 1/4 inch in at the top here, and this is to replace my band, because I'm going to be having a band that is 1 1/4 inch wide. So that way, by the time I add back that band, I'm going to have the 13 inch that I want my pant to be, okay? So that's why I'm folding in 1 1/4. And also on my fabric, I added 1/2 inch above here for joining the pant to the band. So the same thing for my back pattern, and I cut out 2 pieces for my front fabric. And for my back fabric as well, I cut out 2 pieces. All other sewing allowance have already been added on my pattern from my basic trouser pattern. So make sure you watch that video, okay, so you can understand this properly. And for my pocket and pocket facing, I did the same thing. I folded in 1 1/4 inch and I added back 1/2 inch at the top right here. The same thing here for the pockets, all right? And I cut out 2 pieces here, and here as well I cut out 2 pieces. And for the design at the top of this pant, I cut out this piece of fabric. The total length of them, like this, everything joined together, the total length could be your waist circumference multiplied by 2 or multiplied by 3, depending on how full you want the gather to turn out to be. All right, so the width of this piece is 2 1/2 inches wide. So what I'm going to do now is to fold this long one into 2, then I'm going to go ahead and cut it into 2. And this is because this part is going to be the place where I'm going to be putting my zipper, because the zipper is going to be in front. So we need to slash the center front open. So here now is going to be my center front. All right, so I'm going to keep this aside, and I'm going to be showing you as we go along how we are going to be making use of this. And for the band, this is what it looks like. I cut out using that pattern that we drafted out, and I cut it out exactly the way it is on the pattern. For the back, I cut out 1 for the main fabric and 1 for the lining, and they are both on fold, as you can see. So it's a long piece. So this now is my main fabric and this is my lining. So I keep that aside. This is for the back. And for the front, I cut out 2 pieces each, 2 for the lining, 2 for the main fabric. So for the joining part, the very first thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and sew in my dart on all 4 pieces of my pants. So I will go ahead and sew in the dart. So now I'm done joining all my dart on my 4 pieces. So the next thing I did was that I transferred this line right here. I transferred it on my fabric, as you can see. And after that is done, this is the front pattern, right? So now I'm going to grab the second front pattern and place them right sides facing each other. And you start stitching from here with a gather stitch and stop somewhere around here, depending on the length of the zipper you want to use. So you sew from here to here with a gathered stitch. then you make a reverse stitch. So you reverse and then continue with a regular stitch from there all the way down this curve. So now I'm done doing the loose stitch from here to here and the regular stitch from here to here. So this is what it looks like on the right side after joining that crotch area. On the wrong side, this is what I have. And now I need to attach my zipper. I need to open up this part like so. In order to make it relax so it opens up really nicely, I can just give here a notch. Now open up this zipper fly. This is an invisible zipper actually. You can use a regular zipper. You place the right side of your zipper onto this opened part like so. I'm not placing my zipper like this all the way up. No, I'm placing it like this. So this part stops at that 1/2 inch line. And then you grab this leaf of the zipper and this leaf of your zipper fly, and you're going to go ahead and stitch the two of them together on your sewing machine without touching the front panel. All right, so now I'm done doing that, and this is what I have. So in order to now attach this to this, what you want to do is to fold this one twice. So you fold it like this, hold it in place and take it to your sewing machine. So you're going to stitch together like this without touching your front panel yet. So you are stitching only these two pieces together. But once that is done, I have something that looks like this for now. And on the front side, you can see that I don't have any stitch here yet. The next thing to do now is to do the top stitch. So now what you want to do is to make a little push like this. So just grab this one and push it in just a little bit like this, so that on the right side here you'll be having just a little bit of overlap. We should go all the way down like so. So you can even come to the front to do it, like you can see what I'm doing. And now you will now flip it back to the wrong side, and I'm going to use my pin to keep it in place so I maintain that little overlap in front. Okay, so you can see the tiny flap that I have here. That's how much I need to cover my zipper actually. So what you want to do now is to take this to your sewing machine and you are going to do a top stitch. So you will stitch like this, making sure you are catching this one underneath. So you stitch this way and curve it in this way. You know how it actually looks in front of your trousers. So that's what you want to do. So once I'm done doing that, this is what I have. You can see the stitch. So the next thing you want to do now is to open up that gather stitch that we placed here. So once all that is done, this is what we have. Our zipper is ready, as you can see. And the next thing to do now is to grab your pocket facing, and you're going to place it right side facing your fabric like this. And I'm going to stitch here. I'm going to stitch here by 1/2 inch. I repeat the same thing on the other side as well. So once I'm done putting in the pocket facing, I am going to go ahead and flip it to the other side like so and give it a good press. And if you're having a curved shape here, make sure you give it a notch before you flip it to the other side. And I just remember I haven't cut my zipper, and I'm just going to do that right away. What you want to do next is to grab your pocket, and you are going to be placing it right side to the right side of your pocket facing like this. And you are going to now take that to your sewing machine, and you are going to stitch them together by 1/2 inch. Take note that you are stitching only the two pockets together. You are not touching this one yet, except you want that kind of a design that you have that stitch showing here, but I don't want that. So I'm just going to take it to my machine and stitch both of them together at this end by 1/2 inch. And also I'll repeat the same thing to the other side. Once all that is done, this is what I have. You can see the pocket is ready. Pocket is ready. I'm loving it so far. I'm loving how it's turning out to be. Take a peep at the inside. See how yummy how yummy the inside is looking. Anyway, so let's keep this aside and work on the back panel. So I have my back panel here. All right, so face both of them right sides facing each other and align the crotch area. You're going to be sewing on the crotch area by 1/2 inch. Now, once I was done doing that stitch, this is what I have, and if I open it up, you have something like this. If you want to have a wet pocket at the back of your pant, this is the right time to do it. But I'm not going to be doing that in this tutorial. I already have a video on how to create a wet pocket. I'll post the link in the description box as well. And it's also going to pop up somewhere here in this video, so make sure you check that out if you want to know how to create a wet pocket. Alright, so I'm going to set this aside. If you've enjoyed this tutorial so far, remember to leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. So let's move straight to the gathered part of this pant. So I have my pieces cut out already. I showed you that earlier. So what I'm going to do now is to fold each of them into 2 like this, and I'm going to take that to my sewing machine and run a gather stitch on it at 1/4 inch. I repeat the same thing to this one and this one. So after running that gather stitch, I'll go ahead and pull it to my desired length. Once I'm done with all the gathers, I have something that looks like this. Maybe it's not looking so beautiful right now. Don't worry about that. Just keep watching so you see how it's going to actually turn out. So here is my front pant, and you know that the front is divided into 2 because the zipper is at the center front. That's why I also divided this part into 2 the other time. So now I made the gathers, and I gathered this one to be equal to this half, and this one is also equal to the length of this other half right here, and also this one is equal to the entire length of my back short. I've already done this one, so I'm just trying to explain to you what I did. So now, in order to do this one, you grab this half of your front piece, and then you grab this one, which is the gathered piece that you've done, and then you are going to place it on top of it like so, and then you are going to go and stitch that all the way like this by 1/4 inch. And once that is done, you will have something that looks like this. They will look like this together. All right, then you are going to grab your facing and place it right side facing the right side of your main fabric like so, and you are going to stitch by 1/2 inch this time. So, and once you're done stitching the 3 of them together, you will flip it to the right side, and then you will have something that looks like this. All right, this is the wrong side and this is the right side, and I gave it a good press, and I also folded in 1/2 inch at the down here, so as just to prep it, get it ready to attach to the pant. So once that is done, you will grab your front panel, and then we are going to start attaching this piece to it. I'm going to be opening up this 1/2 inch that I ironed down. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to align it onto my waistline like this. Oh, just one thing to let you know, that when you join this gathered strip and the band together, after joining the 3 of them, you should make sure you notch here a little bit, just because this is like a curved shape, so that by the time you flip it inside out, it's going to be well relaxed, flat and nice. So that's just a side note. All right, then going back to what we were doing, open up here, open up this 1/2 inch that you have, then you are going to be aligning it along this waistline. So this end now is going to align with this waistline, but I'm going to be leaving 1/2 inch right here. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. So you see the way I placed this fabric. I made sure that this one has about 1/2 inch extra flowing at this side. So that one is what we are going to be using later for the finishing at the end. I'm going to be getting to that later. All right, so then I'm simply pinning this one all the way around. Once I'm done pinning, I'll go ahead and stitch by 1/2 inch. I'll repeat the same thing to this other half as well, and I'm also going to do the same thing to my back panel. And just to show you one thing you could do to make this ruffle finish really nicely at this area, what you can do is to fold in the end of the ruffle. Let me try to zoom a bit closer. Alright, so this is the end of my ruffle right here. You could fold it in like this. Alright. Alright. You could fold in the end of the ruffle. That's around this zipper area only. So you fold in the end of the ruffle. You can use invisible hand stitch to finish up that part, or you can use fabric glue to glue it in place, or you can even top stitch, but I don't really like that top stitch, so I'm going to be using either fabric glue or hand stitch to finish that, so that once you're done doing that, then it's going to stand out of the way. So by the time you place this one and this one together and stitch, this one is going to be, you see that it's a bit shorter than them now, so you have it out of the way, and by the time you place this together and you stitch and you flip it to the right side, this one is going to come out straight on its own. Another thing you can do about that actually is when you were folding this ruffle before you made the gathers, when you folded it before you made your gathers, you could fold it to the wrong side, so you stitch that part and then you turn it to the right side before you run your gathers. I didn't do that, so that's why I have to do this one now. So here is the fabric glue that I'm going to be using. I don't know what it may look like where you live. It may look different, but this is just regular fabric glue. All right, so if you've already sewn here all the way through, then you can just loosen it a little bit out so you can have this one to work with. So when I'm done folding it in, it looks like this, and I'm just going to put my fabric glue inside there and simply glue them together, and that's it. You see? So then I can now take this to my machine, and if you have taken out any stitch here, you can close it up and also close this part up, making sure that this ruffle is out of the way when you make the 1/2 inch stitch, and also making sure that this 1/2 inch is up. Keep it up, and the one here, all the raw edges here, you keep it up as well while you do that stitch. Once you do that, you will also repeat the same thing to this side as well. So once all that is done, this is what I have, and now I'm going to cut off these corners right here, just to make sure that by the time I turn it inside out, it's going to be nice and sharp. And you see what we have, so clean and perfect. And turning this one as well, so clean and perfect. So the next thing you want to do is to flip to the wrong side, and then we are going to be attaching the waistband down on the wrong side. So what you can do is to stitch from the front, which is what I usually like to do. You can top stitch from the front really close to this part right here. All right, so that as you are stitching, it's catching this one underneath and is sewing this one down in place. Or you can do a stitch in the ditch. All right, so I have done that, and I decided to go for the stitch in the ditch just because, you know, you guys know me already. I love the clean thing, so I decided to go for the stitch in the ditch. So that's why you can't really see my stitch. I hid the stitch right in between these two joints right there. And as you can see, the inside is looking all right and clean. And I also did the same thing to the back side as well, and the inside as well. Then, you know, this is that kind of project that both the inside and the outside of your work is giving you joy, you know. So yeah, that's just what I love. Leave this video a thumbs up if you've learned something already in this video. All right, we are moving on, and we are almost done, guys. So now you have to place the front and the back right sides facing each other like so, and then you are going to be joining them both on the crotch. So I'm aligning my crotch like this. and pinning them together. Once you're done pinning the inseam together, you can go ahead and stitch that down by 1/2 inch all the way from here like this. So once that is stitched, I have something that looks like this. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to align the sides together, and this is when you want to take in any excessive seam allowance that you may be having, so that everything comes to your fit. And that's the main reason why I actually go for this joining method, so that I can always fit this to my size anytime. You know, if you add some weight, you can take it out, you can take it in, just make it as loose or fit as you want. And that's why I save the side seam for the last. Align the side seam and then take it to your sewing machine and stitch by whatever thing makes it comfortable for you. Okay, so and you're going to repeat the same thing to the other side as well. All right, so once you're done stitching those sides to your feet, then you should go ahead and hem the down part using the seam allowance that we left. Then I'm going to stitch that all the way around. I'll repeat the same thing to this side as well. So you guys, here is the finished result of this pant. I really like how it turned out, and I hope you guys like it too, and I hope you will leave me a thumbs up if you have enjoyed this tutorial or you've learned anything so far. I really love this pant, honestly, and as you can see how this fabric is just popping from underneath, and you know, it's just showing it slightly right here. Everything just comes together perfectly the way I want it to be. And you can see the waistline as well. You can see the beautiful details here on the waistline, and of course the very simple and easy zipper fly that we made. Everything is just looking so nice, so beautiful. I'm loving this pant, you guys. I really wish to try it on, but yeah, your Dami dimension is no longer the same. I'm literally blowing up. I don't know if it's quarantine that's done that to me, whatever it is, but yeah. So leave this video a thumbs up as always. Comment down below what you like the most about this pant, and what you may not like, you can let me know as well in the comment section. And I hope I'm going to see you again in my next video. Remember to subscribe if you haven't, and also share this video with those that might be interested in it. Let's meet again in my next video. Bye bye.